This episode is powered by Celsius. Now, whether you're in the gym or you're on the run or, hey, you're just doing a podcast, grab yourself a can of Celsius and live fit. So this is a shameless pitch for Strong New York, September 27th, right at the Glass House on 48th and 12th Avenue. We are throwing the biggest fitness and wellness event this city has ever seen. Every year it gets bigger and bigger. This year we'll have 5,000 people, 80 plus brands, and you will be there. So make sure you get your tickets at strongnewyork.com. It's that simple. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Strong New York podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Santucci. And as always, we're going to talk about strength. But today we're talking about strength in the beverage world. Because if you know anything about the beverage world, well, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot going on and there's a lot of struggles. And today we have a very strong gentleman. My guest, Yanni Hufnagel. Did I say
nailed it?
Did I nail it?
Nailed it.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound too Greek to me, but we got the full story, but I'll have you guys slide in his DMs for that. But today we want to talk about Lemon Perfect. Now, my experience with Lemon Perfect, I discovered it years ago. I walked into, I believe, a Whole Foods, saw it on the shelf. I said, this looks pretty good. There's only 10 calories in it. Let me give it a whirl. Fell in love with it, started selling in my gym. So I sell it in both of my studios, and I love it. But this is not an easy category to get into, and Yanni's going to give us a little explanation as to how hard it is to start a brand like this.
Almost impossible. I'll tell you this, though. Usually I have to bring all the energy on the podcast that I do. I don't know if I can match you. That was as good of an introduction as I've heard. So thank you. Thank you for having me. Thrilled to be here. Yeah. Congratulations on all your success and everything that you've done, in the health and wellness community here in New York and beyond.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I've worked with different brands in the past. One of our sponsors for the show is Celsius. Mm-hmm. I worked with a company called Fit Aid. We've worked with so many different brands over the years. And what I've realized is how hard and how oversaturated every market is, right? If you are a podcasting studio or a gym or a beverage company, there are so many people doing so many different things. But I feel like this category gets so difficult because you have so many people scrutinizing what you're putting into it, how it tastes. What's more important to your brand, the products in it or the taste? Because sometimes it's very hard. It's almost impossible to do both, correct?
Yeah. Well, we're trying.
Yeah.
And look, I hope we can follow in the footsteps of Celsius. It's one of the great beverage brands that's ever been built. Mm-hmm. Took them 20 years to get to, yes, a lot of false starts, a lot of stops and starts, but ultimately they found a way to get to the winner's circle. Look, I think in food and beverage, taste always finds an audience. Mm-hmm. And I think that's from day one, I've prioritized how do we make Lemon Perfect taste as good as it can, as it can be. If you can drive trial, right? If you can get someone to try a product, mm-hmm. right? And then it tastes to the point where you're going to get repeat. Like that's the magic, right? That's the magic. You asked product or I think they're kind of the in the same mm-hmm. realm, right? How you taste that is your product. It's the liquid and it's the packaging, and that combination is ultimately what can propel you. But you mentioned just the chaos of beverage, right? Mm-hmm. And how hard it is, and that's for sure. I think we've found the point of real differentiation, right? So if you look at flavor enhanced water, there's nothing that has our nutritional deck, right? We're squeezed from a real juice. So half a squeezed organic lemon in every bottle, organic, right? Low calorie, zero sugar, bottled in recycled plastic. We think that we check every box, unlike some of our competitors.
But this doesn't happen overnight. You've been working on this forever, right? You're finally getting to a place where you had a good product from the beginning. I loved it. You had a little bit of a hiccup there, right? You had some problems with, I guess people were saying there was something in the product that wasn't great for people. Take us kind of through that.
Yeah. Look, I'm 8 years in now, mm-hmm. right? And we've sold, as of this morning almost 125 million bottles.
Wow.
From day one, right?
Very impressive.
Well,
did you ever think, right?
Yes. I don't think diving into something like this, unless you have the biggest dreams, is, that's just not me, right? Like from day one, I said, I want to go build a multi-billion-dollar brand. And through that, have a chance to make incredible impact on the health and wellness of the American consumer and beyond. But look, this is now the fourth version of Lemon Perfect. And only now do we feel like we have, the blue skies ahead of us with what we've got on the table here. We started as a keep refrigerated item. So I coached college basketball for 10 years. And that has been a great driver of this whole ecosystem that I'm living in now. All of our stakeholders at some level are through my world of basketball, right?
Which is great because you got a ton of young guys with a whole lot of cash.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But we started as a keep refrigerated item, 12-ounce bottle. It was sweetened with erythritol, right? That was version 1. Then I said, well, to win in beverage, we have to be able to find incrementality, on the floor of our retail partners, right? Building display is as important as anything to win in retail, to win in consumer packaged goods. And so if you're a cold chain item, you can't build display, right? The route to market, your distribution is going to be limited. Very hard to sell on the digital shelf, right? Whether it's Amazon or, and so I made a decision to flip the product and go shelf stable.
So what does that look like?
We used aseptic processing. So we used to be high pressure processed, keep refrigerated, and then we switched our processing method to something called aseptic manufacturing, high heat, short time. So, HTST processing. And what it does is it preserves the integrity of the lemons. But it allows you to be shelf stable, not a lot of capacity. But really all that we had to do was add. So we use organic flavors. We just had to add more flavor to make up for the process, the heat.
Yeah, because there's got to be something that keeps it shelf stable, right? There's got to be some preservative to keep it a little bit longer, right?
No, our product, given the pH of our product, so the acidity of lemons really helps us. So we're able to drive. We can actually use a real fruit with no preservatives, aseptic processing, and be shelf stable. It's the magic. That is the magic of Lemon Perfect, is that we can deliver something that is equally nutritious as it is good tasting, but do it in a way where we can sit on a shelf for multiple months dry. That was the second version of Lemon Perfect. The third, there was an article that came out on erythritol in February of 2023. We were sweetened with our original stack was stevia and erythritol. That was our sweetener system. And the study said that elevated levels of erythritol in the blood can cause stroke or heart attack. And, our business at that point was on absolute fire. And then you wake up one day, February of 2023, and you felt like, you got hit by a truck.
What were those phone calls like?
Well, I looked down at my phone. It's crazy. I was in the office. I'll never forget it. I'm walking back from the bathroom to go back to my office. I looked down at my phone, and within 5 minutes, I had 25 text messages, and then it was 50, and then it was 100. And by the next morning, maybe it was 250. It was investors, it was distributors, it was retailers, anyone that I, had communication with about Lemon Perfect.
So February 2023, how long does it take to, reroute this
Yeah.
and fix that line of communication?
So, Kenny, we had made a decision a few months prior, finalized the decision a few months prior to go to a 15.2 ounce bottle. So we were in the 12 ounce bottle,
Mhm.
and then we made a decision to go to a 15.2 ounce bottle, largely driven by our want to win in immediate consumption, opportunity. So convenience retail
Mhm.
or anywhere that you would find beverage in a cooler, right? Big visual difference between 12 ounces and 15.2 ounces. And we just felt like the 15.2 gave us a better chance to drive trial out of a cooler, out of a cold set.
Mhm.
We were also living in a single digit margin world with our 12 ounce bottles. And I had to get out of that and flip the script. And so the combination of going to a 15.2 ounce vessel and signing with a new contract manufacturer. We signed with Niagara Bottling. They're like the major leagues of aseptic bottling, all beverage.
So,
so
as a business owner,
Yeah.
right? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
As a business owner, going to a larger manufacturer,
Mhm.
which is going to cost you more money. Now, I found sometimes it gets more difficult, right? They have it figured out. Those companies have it figured out. It becomes more expensive to go with that brand. But how much does that cut into your margins? Like how many people are in on making these decisions to switch a manufacturer?
Well, we switched manufacturing to accelerate our
Mhm.
margin profile.
Yeah.
Um,
But it cuts into the cost a little, right?
it's cheaper to make,
Oh.
so it helps us.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we made the move because with scale,
Mhm.
the price, your cost of goods, your what's called tolling goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had great leverage in the negotiation because where we were previously,
Mhm.
they also wanted to run the 15.2 ounce bottle. Um, but we ended up signing with Niagara and it changed our business overnight. I mean, we went from, again, like I said, single digit margin profile to best in industry margin profile overnight. I mean, the business fundamentally changed. It was probably the most important decision that we've made here at Lemon Perfect, outside of maybe going to the 15.2s and taking erythritol out of the formula. So
Mhm.
yes, so we take erythritol, we make a decision to take erythritol out of the formula, but
What do you replace it with?
Reb M stevia, the Reb M part of the stevia leaf. Um, but uh, we had already made the decision to go to the 15.2. We knew that we were going to Niagara, but we weren't going there until the first quarter of 2024.
Mhm.
And so I'm sitting here in February of 23, knowing that we weren't going to transition the business until
Another
a year. And so, but I did put my head down and go to work and reformulate and take erythritol out, so that when we did launch the 15.2s, we would do it without the erythritol. So we did have to get, the problem was that in August of 23, where we were producing the 12 ounce bottles, they called me and they said, Yanni, we love you. We love Lemon Perfect. Our lines are not running well. And we're going to prioritize one of our other customers, which is one of our biggest competitors.
I was
We
gonna
were
say,
running at the
pretty much the
same,
same
yeah,
thing.
we were running at the same make site. And we had a deal that was expiring at that point, the first quarter of 24. Buy had 5 years left on their deal. I knew it was always a risk when I called them and said, we're going somewhere else, that they could shut us down. But I always felt like any business owner is going to want to produce as much gross profit as they can. And they're not going to, intentionally debilitate our business
Yeah.
at it. So, and that held true. The problem is that the lines were running at 50%, of their output, and we got squeezed. And so now here I am with a business that went from 0 to 46 million in 5 years. with not much dislocation in the business, to be honest. Everything for the most part had gone really well from 0 to 46
Yeah,
million.
I was going to say.
Our revenue. So basically 0 to almost 100 million in retail sales.
Wow.
And then you have this erythritol issue. I mean, there was no way that I was going to move forward with a product that I felt like, man, and then we have the capacity.
Statements about that?
We did put we us and many other brands.
Mhm.
And so now here I am with no capacity. We were at a single make site, and within 24 hours, I mean, I flew to Rochester to beg. I got on my hands and knees. That was their HQ, and their owner, she just said, listen, there's just nothing I can do. And we're sorry. And maybe in October we can get you up on the line. We were very light on inventory at that point. We sat around and we said, maybe there's 2 months before there's no product on any shelves. And the line that was being built for us wasn't going to be ready until April of 24, 9 or 10 months from this moment. We had a term sheet that got blown up. I called our lead investors. I said, this is what's happening. $18 million term sheet blown up. We had some money in the bank, so it wasn't like we were going to go home the next day. But if you can't sell any product, there's no business.
Mm-hmm.
Niagara, which is where we were, we had just signed with them, and they're building a line for us in Lancaster, Texas, just outside of Dallas. But they come up with the idea of running us on their Gatorade aseptic line in Kansas City. They said there's no nitrogen dosing, so when the bottles get cold, they're gonna panel. They're gonna look like this. So we went through that last year. They said we can't take the line down because they're a major customer for us. So we're not gonna be able to put oxygen scavengers or UV blockers in the plastic, and so you could have some oxidation. And on top of all that, you're going from a 29-gram bottle that's 12 ounces to a 24-gram bottle that's 15.2 ounces. So 27% more volume, 25% less plastic. So your walls are going to be really thin. And that's going to become a more hospitable environment for product degradation.
Mm-hmm.
We start running the product, we save the business. And sure enough, exactly a year ago, we start tasting bad bottles. It was one bottle. I was like the first to recognize it. And then it was 2 bottles, and then it was 4 bottles. And then it was a few people on our team. And then it was our entire team. And then it was a few of our investors, and then all of our investors. And then it was customers. And then it was distributors. And then it was retailers. And the bottom fell out.
How long after that article? That was a year later?
Yeah. So the article came out in February of 23, and now we're talking about June of 24. So that was like 15 months. And when we took the erythritol out, one of the other factors was that it has such bulk. It's a bulk sweetener, 60% as sweet as sugar. And so without the erythritol in there to provide that bulk sweetness, we were even more naked on some of the odor that was being generated. And the product wasn't bad for you. It just tasted bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you had to hold your nose and drink it. It was like, I don't even know. I've been describing it as if you left lemons out in the sun all day and then came back and, had some of that juice. Like it was just gnarly. And
how much product are we talking about?
Oh, millions of cases.
Millions of cases.
Yeah.
And you just got to dump it all.
I know. It was, what there was nothing we could do. I mean, we weren't going to stop selling it.
Yeah.
So, because our line that was being built for us in Dallas was still at this point, 4 or 5 months away. They were telling us October, November of 24 to get up and running on that line in Dallas. So, Kenny, what I've learned in this thing is you have to find the strength to get up in the morning. Sometimes it's really hard. I had days where I could not get out of bed. I had to have people on our team come and try to get me out of bed. It's the road of entrepreneurship. I would imagine for most is just a test of will
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to overcome all the challenges and dislocation that you deal with. And I chose something, beverage, that's as hard as any industry because you have a success rate to liquidity of about 1 in 10,000. So that means for every 10,000 beverage brands that start, because the barrier to entry in beverage is so low, one ever sells their business. So, but I got back in the flavor lab because we didn't exactly know what was happening. So we switched out our stevia blend, toggled up and down on flavor and sweetness, switched out our lemon extracts, and we came up with a formulation that I felt was even far better than what we had. And then we have this done, and we had lost some of our most loyal Lemon Perfect consumers. And so we all sat around and we said, should we look at changing the packaging as well to reacquire any lapsed consumers? And we did that.
Mm-hmm.
We hired a woman named Paula Grant, who I think is the most talented commercial packaging designer that there is. She's done Vitamin Water and Body Armor and several other brands. And we rolled up our sleeves. We got to work. The idea was, how do we own the lemon? How do we communicate flavor, right? Like, how do we communicate without saying it? Like, that Lemon Perfect is delicious, that it's refreshing, that it's healthy. And Kenny, I don't know if I would have imagined how transformative the final flavor change or, formulation change coupled with this packaging would have been on our business. I mean, you're talking about a violent V-shaped recovery in our business. June is going to be the best month in company history. We'll do over 10 million in retail sales in June, and we think July is going to be 12 to 14. I mean, the thing is flying.
That's amazing.
And our team has never had more energy.
How do you?
Our investors have never. I mean, look, they wanted my head on a pitchfork.
Yeah.
A year ago. Now they want to parade me around like I'm a circus act, I think.
How do you recover from that? How do you gain back that following? How do you is it marketing? Is it advertising? Is it giving away product? How do you recover from such a devastating point of your business?
It's hard. It's really hard to restart. That's the challenge. And we're going through that right now. It's like,
Because it's almost harder to start from that point than it is to start from square one.
well, we had the placements. So we had the distribution.
Okay.
So we didn't lose any distribution,
Yeah.
fortunately. So that we didn't go backwards and that would have been the death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
We were on death row, but they didn't bring me to the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like it was a moment of unbelievable challenge, but we were able to get back in the courtroom.
Yeah.
And
which is great.
yeah. And listen, here we are, and we're not in jail anymore. We're actually, having some real fun with this business again.
So where do you categorize the product? Like what? I know you said Bai was one of your competitors, but is it a drink? Is it a water? Like how do you guys kind of position it?
Yeah. Anytime hydration. We're not an isotonic. I don't want to play versus Gatorade or Body Armor or the world of, high, salt like the electrolytes of the world, and that we just want to be great tasting anytime hydration. We play in the flavor enhanced water category. So our competition is vitamin water by hint roar. But at the end of the day, the average person is making about 15 beverage decisions a day.
Really?
Yeah. Think about it. Coffee, water, a Celsius, right? And we want to capture as many of those, decisions as we can. If we can get one, we're going to build a really big business. Yeah.
So after changing the bottle, do you think, or have you seen people reach for it more?
Oh yeah.
Because my next question is, how much do you think was intentional marketing versus how much was it organically people just trying the product? Because I was an organic user. I
Yeah,
went in,
it's amazing.
I saw the bottle, and I was like, "Oh, lemon water.
Yeah.
I could fuck with that."
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Lemon water and zero sugar have really helped us bring people. Just that.
Yeah. It's the marketing.
Yeah. Now, there is, in food and beverage, there is no better marketing than your bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Now, look, there might be influencer-led brands where the packaging is not as important. We're not that. And so our packaging, that's when you drive up to the house, oh my God, that's a really nice house. Oh shit, that's a thing. So people walk through our front door because of how our bottles look and how they land on the shelf today more than ever before. I thought we had something iconic with our previous packaging.
Mm-hmm. I like the old packaging too.
A lot of people did.
Yeah.
And listen, we raised $100 million on our old packaging. It's just until you go and try to do something, you never really know where that road can lead. And the refreshment perception is up 25%. The purchase intent is 35% versus the old packaging.
Wow.
Yeah, and now we're seeing it. People are, the rate of sale is far in front of anything that we've ever. There are retailers right now where over the last 12 weeks we've doubled our velocity. So Sheetz is a great partner of ours. It's a convenience store, Western Pennsylvania down into the Carolinas. In the last 3 months, we have doubled our sales at Sheetz, doubled. And we haven't promoted. It's a direct customer, so we don't have field execution that can help drive it there. The bottles go into the cooler, and that's that. And we have doubled sales over the last 3 months. It is. I started this podcast by telling you that we've sold 125 million bottles. I think, as I sit here on this couch today, that we will sell 1.25 billion bottles before it's all said and done. And then when I'm not here, they're going to sell a whole lot more.
5 years from now, you're writing your book, you sold the company, working on some other different stuff. If somebody asked you, was that point, that turning point where you had to flip everything, would you say that's the turning point and it was all worth it?
The story is left to be written.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I have burned all the ships now. And
as you have to.
Yeah. But especially over the last couple of months, we've raised another round of capital. I went back to our original investors. So many of them came in. Those relationships are really, really, really important to me. There is no option here besides scaling the mountain and winning. And winning is defined in a lot of ways for me, right? One is liquidity for our investors, making our investors money, return on capital. the truth is that the time to invest in Lemon Perfect was on day one or day now, right? Some of our investors in the middle, because of the time now that this journey is going to take, it's going to be 10, 11, 12 years instead of 6, 7, or 8, right? So when you just think about kind of their IRR. But anyway, they're going to win. So liquidity for our investors, one. Trampoline of growth for our people, right? Like I want this to be the greatest professional experience of their career. And we've got a core group now that's been with us for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. The retention in our business is incredible. I think the most important road that we're going to sprint down and I want to cross the finish line first on is disrupting the way that America and the world eventually drinks beverage. So much of the root of destruction on health is what people drink, not so much what people eat. It's hard to go to McDonald's and have 5 hamburgers. It's not hard to have uh, a large soda, right? It just drinks easy, and it's it might not be as caloric, but it's far higher in sugar. And Lemon Perfect, we're not gonna. It tastes really good, so you get to still have this great drink experience, but with 0 sugar, and the way that the nutritional deck is, it's better for you than anything else around it. That's not caloric, right? Lemons and limes they're magical superfruits because they provide all these health benefits without the sugar or the calories, right? Juices are good for you, but they're just so caloric and they're usually sugar loaded, right? Even if it's natural. So anyway, I'm saying all that to say that I want to win in those 3 phases. And I use this line a lot. Like I'm either walking out of the door with some coins in my pocket and all of our investors' pockets and our people, everyone's an owner in the business, or I will be in the room on death row because I'll be 6 feet under. So no, we're really excited about what we have in front of us. And we just have a relentless will to win collectively across the organization. And it is really inspiring.
What year would you say that you went from being a basketball coach to an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I'm still coaching.
Yeah.
So there might not be a basketball, but I'm still coaching. And, you know, I think when you have an intense focus on the scoreboard like we do, and you drive a culture of relentless tenacity and work ethic, and there are just so many parallels. Every off season I get calls to go back and coach. But yeah, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm obsessed with building brand, right? And making sure that we always have the story to go have the right capital partners to put fuel on this business and grow and build a really good business. And so, yeah, the joke is that when anyone asks me, what's the key to success in entrepreneurship, I tell them, go coach college basketball for 10 years and then come back to me. Right.
Yeah.
We had great success when I was coaching, went to the NCAA tournament 6 times in 10 years. My hope is that my greatest professional moment was when I was at Harvard and we beat New Mexico in the NCAA tournament. 2013, we were 14 seed, they were 3 seed, Salt Lake City, Utah. When we sell this business and we cross the finish line, that will then supersede that moment. So it's been there's, as far as I know, there's no one out there that has coached at the Division I level and then gone and done something in food and beverage like this. So it's a very unique,
Well, this is
you know,
definitely
deal.
like going to the NBA and trying to win a championship, right?
Yeah. And that's hard. That's really hard. But look, you got to have the right personnel and you have to play together. And I think we've got those two things.
Do you look at your inner circle? So, the 5 people that you have to communicate with every day, your investors, do you look at them more as a family or a team?
I'm really close with them. Family, that line is a little blurry because, there are some differences between coaching college basketball and being in a locker room every day or in the offices every day and being around those 13 players, and this journey. I mean, our people, they've got families, right? They've got things on Saturday and Sunday. They might have, youth soccer, or they're going to go play golf. They're going to, we don't have all their time like I would if I was coaching college basketball. So it's a little bit different. I do believe that it is a family, right? We're unbelievably close and the communication is excellent at Lemon Perfect. But we are a great team. We always have screws to tighten and work to do. Communication, the pursuit of constant communication is never ending. And we're working through that. We always have to get better. But my energy is never going to be matched. And I just hope that our people can bring it, as best as they can every day.
One of the things that I find to be the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is definitely during those dark times when you feel like you have nothing going on, when the world's working against you. It's so hard for me to gather up what I need to get the team excited and keep everybody on when you feel like you're at your darkest moment. What do you do? How do you muster that up? You said you were having trouble getting out of bed.
Yeah.
There are definitely days. I mean, I had one just as early as yesterday, where you're like, I don't even want to get out of bed. It's so hard. What advice do you have to people who are like going through that shit and you have to be the one to rally everybody up?
Yeah. I would tell you that through the darkness comes light. I do believe that now, having gone through it in basketball and in entrepreneurship, in building Lemon Perfect. If you can find the strength, there are always better days ahead. It might get worse before it gets better, but just have belief that, if you're the owner of your destiny, it'll get better. And you're not going to be perfect. When the lights come on, you're never never going to be flawless. It just you got to find a way. I mean, that's just really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like, I would tell you that, resilience is a muscle. And as you go through moments of challenge, that muscle gets bigger and you become more resilient when the hardship comes again.
Yeah.
And so I think if you can just embody that idea,
like getting those reps in.
Yeah. Listen, you train, hopefully the resilience muscle, you don't have to keep using it, right? Like, it's like,
hopefully not.
Yeah.
Think, I mean, I've been chipping away at the event that we do.
Yeah.
This will be the 9th year that we do it. And every year I'm like, God, will this just fucking eventually get easy? Will it ever get to a point where it just kind of like the pieces just start to fall into place? But I think I try to find the beauty in the struggle, and it's just like you feel like you're beating your head up against the wall. You're always like, oh, this will be the year. This will be the year. And it's tough because you watch a lot of other brands, right? And I'm sure you've seen this. You see something like Prime or something,
Yeah.
right? Their whole product, it's absolutely. Have you ever tried it?
Yes.
I mean, not to shit on anybody,
Yeah.
but it's so sugary. It's meant for kids, I believe,
Mhm.
because it's so sweet. Um, but it's driven by celebrity. It has so much backing with, the guys who created the brand and stuff. Have you ever had a strategic partner, anybody come along who's helped that? Or why haven't you used any type of celebrity or used marketing to drive this from like an
Yeah.
influencer standpoint?
Well, listen, easier said than done. That worked
Yeah.
for them for a moment, and that brand has had some real challenges over the last year or so.
Mhm.
So it wasn't able to hold. Now, think a lot of that was probably product, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Beyonce invested in Lemon Perfect, and that was an incredible moment for us.
How'd that happen?
If you Google, it's a long story, but um, the short answer is that uh, she was a fan of the product. There was an Instagram carousel where there was a bottle of Lemon Perfect in her limo behind her. It wasn't like she, held up the bottle, but
Mhm.
there was a dragon fruit mango lemon perfect in the cup holder of the limousine that she was getting out of. It was at a pre-Oscars party in 2026. And we tried to reach out to her management team. She was going through a change at the time actually there, and so we couldn't we ended up not getting to her. And then fast forward, and one of our larger investors who knows her well uh was with her, and Lemon Perfect came up, and the bridge got built, and here we are. So
What year did that happen?
this was 20 the bottle in the limousine was 2020. The investment didn't get finalized until November of 21, and then the announcement was April of 22. So long window.
So at that point, are you like, okay, this is gonna skyrocket? This is the influencer or the person that you need?
Yeah.
Like
I think
we've had the guys from Slate on.
yeah,
I think
they're good. Yeah.
yeah, great guys. Manny's an incredible guy. And I think, and he always says, like, I think one of the biggest strategic partners and investors they've had has been Dana White.
Yeah.
He's done, wonders for that brand. I mean, it's a great product. That's the thing.
It's a great product.
You have to have
Great
a great
product.
product.
Very innovative product. Great product.
And having someone great behind you really helps out. A friend of mine's got an incredible brand in Philly. It's more of a t-shirt kind of lifestyle brand. But Bedros Koulian, you know him?
Mm-mm. Yeah.
So
No.
he's a big um, kind of influencer, health coach type guy. But anyway, he's helped them really move the needle as well with like
Mhm.
their brand. So it's great to have that strategic partner who has a ton of influence. I feel like Beyonce should have been that for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, part of it was, the way that the deal was structured. Um, you know, there was no requirement for her to post on her own channels, right?
Yeah,
It was our announcement. So, the reach of that was somewhat limited.
yeah. Hmm.
And then we didn't have, this is 2022. We just didn't have the distribution, right? Like we weren't in Target at the time. We weren't in Walmart, right? Like we weren't in Costco. So we weren't in convenience retail. And so it was a little bit too early for us. But listen, you Google Lemon Perfect today, and the first thing that comes up is that Beyonce's an investor. So it just adds credibility to the story.
Hmm.
She's a friend of Lemon Perfect, and we're thrilled that she's a part of it. Yeah.
What does your day to day look like now? Right, like you said, you had to reformulate the product. I'm sure this took a long time to gather up investors and people to believe in the product. What does your day to day look like right now?
I think the most important thing for Lemon Perfect is making sure that we have the capital to keep dreaming.
Mhm.
And so my number one focus is making sure that we have the capital resources right now.
Raising money.
Yeah, raising money. So it's gone we're in a financing right now. It's gone incredibly well over the last 2 months. We're oversubscribed. We're going to extend the financing. there's just so much momentum in the business right now that I feel like we're a really good bet, right? So that helps. And then it's just being, for me, it's pumping up the team, thinking about the future, right? Like I got to think a year in advance or 18 months in advance or, but just putting the face paint on every day and being just the most energetic person for how big Lemon Perfect can become on the entire planet. And if I do that, that's the biggest part of my job, I think.
Do you ever feel like, because this is a new flavor and I haven't tried it yet and I was waiting to try it.
The lime,
The lime.
you should try it.
I haven't tried it.
It's something that we've been working on for several years and just launched it now. Yeah.
Okay. So how much of it is like, okay, we have a great product. This, in my opinion, will be a legacy product. It'll be around forever, God willing.
I hope.
You.
Yeah.
You don't want it to like kind of fall off or anything, but how much is innovation? How much are you like, hey, we need to come out with something new. We need a new flavor. Like, is that always like that voice in the back of your head?
I think about innovation all the time.
Yeah.
Go to sleep thinking about it, wake up thinking about it. There's two schools of thought. More revenue, fewer SKUs, more valuable business. So that, right? Like, especially in our world where Pepsi, they don't want 22 SKUs on their truck. They would be much happier with one.
Mm-hmm. Look
at
Red Bull.
It's a great example. Was one SKU forever, and now I don't even know. They might have.
I think
8.
they have 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, probably. They've got flavors, sugar-free, this, that. But that's a great example.
Yeah.
A great example. We're fortunate that we have a hero SKU in our portfolio, but I just think you have to be really careful with innovation, candidly. We've looked at sparkling innovation. That there are categories now that are really hot, right? Whether it's, protein or
creatine.
Creatine.
Yeah.
I think you might know better. I don't think creatine
has a drink form yet.
Yeah, because it's not the efficacy of it. So that is something that I've actually thought about how the hell you can, because there's a creatine drink would be unbelievable. My powder in the morning, it gets all over the place.
It's annoying.
It's annoying. Yeah.
That's why I think everybody's putting it into gummy form.
Gummies, it's a big one now. The gummy forms, yeah. But I do have, I think there could be innovation for us that comes down the road that may not be branded Lemon Perfect, but that Lemon Perfect owns, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where my mind is right now. Mm-hmm. No one even, 2% of America knows what Lemon Perfect is today. So
really,
we got to, that's it. So that is such a big audience to go capture, right? If we can go from 2 to 10, this thing will be one of the biggest beverages.
So is that through distribution or is that through consumer, like kind of marketing deals? Like what does that look like? To let more people know that this product exists.
More distribution, obviously more brand marketing, above the line marketing. And then doing more things like this, more podcasts where we get, because hopefully this yields, some of your audience that go out and try it, right? And fall in love with it. And they tell someone, and the next thing you know, it's the flywheel of it is very, very powerful.
How much are you getting your balls broke saying that there's like, there's no sugar in it, but why would somebody drink this over water? Like, why would I drink this?
Well, flavor and the benefits of lemons.
Yeah.
Who wants to drink plain water? I find myself very challenged to drink plain water. I really do. I do black coffee, Lemon Perfect, and because we don't have a sparkling product, I do drink some sparkling water.
So in my fridge, we have water up top, which rarely you can ask anybody who works for me. I never drink it.
Yeah.
I have Lemon Perfect on the next shelf. I have Celsius on the next shelf. And I drink about a gallon of black coffee.
Yeah, that's great. That's about me, and obviously you got, look, every now and then I'll do an RTD protein shake. You mentioned Slate, that's good. There's, but I'm, I'm probably drinking today maybe 10 bottles of Lemon Perfect a day. I just can't stop drinking it. So
you guys are a massive product now. I mean, you sold over 100 million bottles, right? You've raised over $100 million. What's your inner circle look like? Who are you conversing with on a daily basis? Like who's
probably too many people. I don't know if I have I shouldn't say that. I have a group of core investors that I talk to almost every day. We have a team that I talk to almost every day. You know, and then I'm very close to my family. So, but I mean, Kenny, yeah, I might have had 50 phone calls yesterday. I know I had 17 meetings because it was one of those crazy days, but like it just, yeah. But we have a core group of people that are around me that I feel really good about communicating with and going to.
Listen, the dream is always to like sell the product off and make a ton of money and, ride off into the sunset. But if that day never comes, what does the future look like? What are you doing with it? Like, do you make a big play and try to do something else, or do you kind of continue to go down the road? Like, are you that in love with the product that you're going to keep kind of pushing?
That day has to come. I'm just going to be, like I said earlier, I mean, that there's going to be finality. No, I am not going to just plod along for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years and figure out how to grind through this. This business wasn't built in that way. This business was built to be a zero or a hero. There will be, the outcome for us is very binary. We're either going to go do something really magical or it's not going to work. There's no middle ground.
How many companies out there, right? Like Coca-Cola and, Pepsi, there's what, 5 to 10 big companies that could potentially buy you out?
Probably in that range, but you have, you've got opportunity now through private equity, right? The multiples would be compressed, but the public markets, right? We just need to build a great business with a big audience and, and it'll play out. I'm very focused on just building making sure that the product is great and then the fundamentals of the business, the black and white, the arithmetic, and if we do that thing and grow, if we do all that and grow, we're going to be in great shape. I mean, if this thing is, a couple $100 million in revenue, with best in industry gross margin profile, we're going to be in great shape, and we're on the track to go do that.
Yeah, you're in Sheetz, Whole Foods. You're in all the major distribution. Like, what's left? Who's left?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah. Walmart, Target, a lot of convenience.
What's the golden goose? Is Walmart like looked at as like, oh, you get into Walmart, you're selling?
I have to be careful when I answer that question because we have so many great retailer partners. So there's no one that I would, I mean, we have a couple of strategic partners. I mean, that I would, but anywhere that beverage is sold, I want Lemon Perfect to be. I don't care.
7-Eleven.
Yeah, I don't care where it is, who's buying it, what the banner is. Like this is a product that was built for anyone, anytime, anywhere. And so I'm never going to be narrow in answering a question like that, where there's a retailer that sits above all, or there's a retailer that would I wherever beverage is sold, we want to be.
One of the things that I struggle with sometimes when talking to marketing people and advertising and different people within the PR world, they're like, all right, who's your avatar? Who are you trying to sell to with the event? And I said, anyone could benefit from fitness. Everyone should be at this event. It's an opportunity to learn and grow, and I like that. Here you are with a massive brand, and you guys are clearly doing very well right now. And I've given this to my niece and nephews when they're at my gym. I drink it. I don't think there's anybody that can't not drink this, right? When you think of soda, I'm like, I think soda is not the best product for people. There's a lot of people who, if they cut soda. I know when I was younger, I was 13, 14 years old, I started on this weight loss journey. I want to get into good shape. One of the first things that I learned was, hey, if you cut soda out of your diet, you'll start to lose weight. As a 13-year-old, 230-pound kid, I cut soda out of my diet. I lost like 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
And I was drinking soda all the time.
Kenny, I have not used what you just said, but that is a great, it is like drinking Lemon Perfect is like going to the gym or going for a walk or playing basketball. Anyone can use fitness.
Yeah.
I don't care how old you are, you know, the shape that you're in today.
Disabled.
Right.
You know.
Anyone.
Yeah.
That is
Super
a
athletic.
great line, is that Lemon Perfect is like fitness. Everyone should do it.
Yeah.
I love that, and I'm going to steal it.
Good. Done. Take it. Well, Yanni, listen, I really appreciate you coming by. This was awesome. I love the deep dive into the business, the struggles, everything. The product is great. I absolutely love this because I almost just crushed the bottle.
Yeah, it's easy to drink, isn't it? Yeah,
It
yeah,
is great.
yeah.
I'm telling you, I didn't have you on. Like when we did that event downtown and they said you were going to be talking, I'm like, oh my God, that's great. Because I'm actually a fan of the brand and I like having people on that I'm already using their product. If you look back at any of our old episodes, we've had Manny from Slate on, product that I sell in my gym. I had the guys from Kinetic. Do you know those guys? It's a ketone drink.
Okay.
I think it's incredible. You know, you guys are great. You guys are doing good things. So if you guys haven't tried Lemon Perfect yet, I highly recommend it. It's not just a sales pitch. I wish he was paying for the episode, but he's not. It's just actually a great product, and you guys should definitely go check it out. Where could everybody check you guys out? Where could we learn more about it?
Well, in New York, we've got distribution just about everywhere, up and down the street. You know, Whole Foods, ShopRite, Stop and Shop. Amazon's a great place to find us. If not same day, usually Lemon Perfect is available next day. So
It's great.
Our own website, lemonperfect.com. But you'll start to see us more and more places. But thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. Your energy is incredible. And I'm going to use some of those lines. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, awesome. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Strong New York podcast. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, you know, share it as much as you possibly can because we're trying to make this thing a bigger deal than it is right now. So keep watching, keep paying attention, and keep getting strong.